A lot can change in just a week in this NBA right now. So it's been 9 days since our last video. I know it's kind of long. I should be doing better. My fault. I've been posting a lot of shorts though, and y'all been loving those. Thank y'all for tuning into those. But my last video is titled "The Embiid Legacy Game," and y'all enjoyed that. Thank y'all for the views on that, of course. And since then, the Philadelphia 76ers have been swept by the New York Knicks. And first things first, I have to give credit where it is due. The Knicks did not give them a chance in this series. There was one close game, and it was game 2. But other than that, they exploited every single time that Embiid was on the court, which I did not fully expect. Like, Embiid had a bad series, all things considered, and you can say injuries is a thing, but last series he was injured as well, and he was doing his thing, so you can't really only put that up as, like, the only factor. They had a great defensive scheme for him, and their players just played out of their fucking minds. Brunson's Brunson. There's not much you can say about Jalen Brunson, and that's not me being disrespectful. That is me putting respect on his name because it is deserved. He's an amazing basketball player. Do I think that this team is a finals team? I'll let y'all know later, but he is a fantastic basketball player that's continued to prove people wrong throughout this entire season and his entire career in general. Cat, I understand he has not had the best scoring playoffs, but when it comes to his all-around game, he's actually been very good. He's been decent defensively. Obviously not the best of the best, and that's why he hasn't played the most minutes. He's been a great passer, though, and of course he's still an amazing rebounder. So he has value on every single front of the game. He just has the same issues of, I can't avoid fouling. The same issue he's always had, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know what to even say coming into this. I watched very few games in this series, I'll be honest, and it's because I noticed very early what was happening. The Sixers were on a high. And now they're at rehab. That's what I noticed very quickly. Tyrese Maxey is someone I've spoke very highly of. This series, he had one game, and it was game 2, and it was still extremely inefficient. You could say game 3 was a good game, but also game 3 was over pretty quickly, and he didn't shoot as many shots. I came in and said he is one of the most well-rounded, solid, consistently great basketball players in the league. When it comes to the fact that he can score at all 3 levels, he is not as exploitable on defense from what I saw against Boston. And, he is offensively perfect at every level. He can pass, he can shoot at every level. He's amazing at making layups. He's great within the arc. He's great outside the arc. He's good at using his speed. And he's not getting put into difficult positions because of his size. But I guess it just puts into perspective how bad the Celtics really were when it comes to past years, because the Knicks put that shit on lock. And they showed that if you have some of the best wing defenders in the league, like talking about people like Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, even somebody like Miles McBride has been playing great defense in this playoffs and also has had some amazing games, you can shut that shit down. And OG didn't even play in this final game, I believe. I think he was injured. And I don't know how long he is out with that right hamstring strain, and I hope he comes back because this team looks like a finals winner. Like, if they are able to come into the finals against somebody like an OKC playing at this current level, I cannot see how they are not at least taking that series to 7. They're offensively perfect, offensively sound in every way. They finally given Cat a role that he can actually attach himself to, because in 20 minutes he has 17 points and 10 assists. He has shown himself to be able to become one of the better passing bigs in the league. He just never really had the role of doing that. Now he is actually in that role where he can do it, and they're thriving. So shout out to them. This is one of my only messages in the group chat about this series, because this series has been a fucking wash, is that the Knicks are looking like the team that we all expected them to be coming into this season. And the Sixers are back to the drawing board. I know a lot of people were coming into this series thinking, oh, since they upset the Celtics are a better team than the Knicks. Basketball is all about matchups. Matchups make series. Matchups make games. And the Sixers have a better game plan when it comes to guarding people like the Boston Celtics because they are so three-point oriented. They're not as big as the Knicks are, and they're not as physical as the Knicks. Whereas the Knicks have the perfect game plan for somebody like Joel Embiid. They have the perfect game plan for somebody like Tyrese Maxey, because in that Celtics series, if you put somebody like Jaylen Brown on him, he does not have. I understand he's very athletic and he has a good first step and everything on offense, but defensively he does not have that same speed while being a good defender, and he doesn't have the length that somebody like Mikal Bridges has. So it doesn't affect Maxey as much if you put Jaylen Brown on him. But man, Embiid, you had a great game last game. You shot 100%. But this shit was over before it started, so I can't even really say much. Back to the drawing board. You are happy with what you saw from your rookies. VJ Edgecombe had an amazing season. Shout out to VJ. Some other players might get some more run. Justin Edwards was a good addition this year. Even though he didn't really play much in the playoffs throughout the season, he was very good and he contributed a lot. Trading Jared McCain is a big loss for you, but I understand why you would do it, because there was a lot of mouths to feed in that exact position. You have somebody like VJ who probably believe in more at this point in time. So you were like, you know what? We're fine with losing Jared, even though he's a great shooter. And I do not agree with the team they gave him to, because I think that Jared's going to have a game. I'm being honest. I think that Jared McCain is going to have himself a game randomly during the playoffs. And then we're going to look at that trade. He had one last game. He had 18 points in 18 minutes. 18 points in 18 minutes for somebody coming off the bench is extremely pivotal every team that wins a championship always has that one bench player that consistently gives you something randomly. That is what they have now with Jared McCain, for sure. But there still are a lot of question marks with a lot of teams. But OKC still is without Jalen Williams, which, I understand he had a down season when it comes to his scoring output, but he is still one of their best perimeter defenders. And without him out there, I don't know how they do in this final round. I think they're going to play the Spurs, because Wemby getting ejected last game, I understand why he was ejected, because Jesus Christ, he elbowed the shit out of Naz Reid. I'm happy that they're not giving him extra games out, though, because that would just be OD. And the NBA has shown recent signs of being OD, but them versus the Spurs has always been a very difficult matchup for them. And Chet has had a great playoff so far. He's been playing amazingly. But the biggest question mark now is, can he do it against somebody who has consistently gotten the better of him every time they've gone against each other, basically, especially this season. They beat him in the play-in tournament, which was very, very impressive, which the Knicks ended up winning, by the way. But they beat him in the play-in tournament, and then they beat him again right after that, 3 days later. And I understand it was a lot earlier in the season, but that was also during the time when J-Dub was out. So they have the answer for OKC, at least in that circumstance that we've seen. So I don't know. The playoffs are different, though, man. Wemby is different, though. It's hard for me to gauge any Wemby series, because coming into it, you're just thinking, what do you do about him? And when you have somebody like Dylan Harper coming through, having insane games, almost keeping them in that game, basically, against the Timberwolves with Wemby out, and I just can't understand picking against that, especially when you see him playing the way he's been playing recently. But shout out to them. At the end of the day, the Wolves have tied up the series. Anthony Edwards has looked great in the second round after being damn near wobbled the entire first round. First 2 games, he didn't play much, but after that, he's really been out there doing his thing. I think he's found his step. He's found his footing. And it's very possible that they can beat the San Antonio Spurs, but I think the Spurs will take the series in 7 or 6. Today, our games are the Oklahoma City Thunder versus Lakers and the Pistons versus Cavs. Real quick, I'm going to keep it simple when it comes to this OKC versus Lakers series. I've seen very few minutes. I've seen every game, but I've seen few minutes of all of them, mainly because I'm old and all the games are really fucking late. Oh my God, it's so bad. But my main argument for everything here is I knew the Lakers were not going to beat them. I expect them to put up more of a fight. And I understand that they're missing J-Dub, but I think that Luka is such a bigger focal point for them that losing Luka against a team that is able to scheme against LeBron. And I understand Saying that out loud is crazy, but LeBron is 42 fucking years old. You can scheme against a 42-year-old LeBron unless you are literally the Houston Rockets, who have nothing for anybody. But they have the ability to scheme for LeBron and also take somebody like Austin Reeves out the game, because, you know, Austin Reeves is not the... I wouldn't say he's not good. I think he's a great player, and I think he has a lot of room to improve throughout the next few years. But I think he's a cone. Honestly, I think he's a cone. And in that OKC series, they've been exploiting him a lot from what I've seen. He had one really good game, but they got blown out in that game. There has not been a close game in this series, and I don't think there will be. I wouldn't be surprised if this is LeBron's last season, so I'm going to try my best to tune into this final game to see the send-off of the greatest player of all time. But, man, this is just such a sad way to go out, but this is how everybody goes out. You never go out on top, man. You never go out on top. You go out swinging, and sometimes you get knocked the fuck out. I'm excited to see what OKC does, though, man. This is like a passing of the torch moment for sure. Up next, we have the Pistons versus the Cavs. The Cavs came in last game, and they really showed why so many people believe in them in a lot of aspects. This would be the first time, if they win this series, which I don't think they are, but if they win this series, this will be the first time in his career that Donovan Mitchell is ever going to make it to a conference finals. And that is crazy to say because he has never missed the playoffs in his career. I bring it up every time I talk about this because it's so crazy to me. Like, honestly, it is so crazy that you can see somebody at his caliber, where I think he's the second best. I'm sorry if I sound nasally. That's so crazy. Somebody who is the second best shooting guard in his position. Some might argue first, but he's definitely top three at the lowest. And he's just consistently not been able to get over the hump. And last year, they were the first seed in the East, 65 wins, unable to get over the hump. They lose to the Indiana Pacers in 5 games. And right now they're down 2-1 to the Pistons. They made some changes, got somebody like James Harden on the team, which I don't like it because James Harden is doing what he does in every playoffs. The game before last game, he shot 3 for 13. That's James Harden. The game where they lost, he had a good game, 22, 8, and 7. Didn't shoot the best. Fourth quarter, he had 13 points, though. Shout out to him, but they lost by 10. And even in the Toronto series, he had a lot of moments where I was like, it was just like head-banging moments. And that's something that James Harden will always have because of his play style. He plays a high-risk play style, and that's very much – they don't play the same, but they have similar play style builds with Russell Westbrook. They are always high-risk, high-reward players. They will do what it takes to try to get that shot or try to get that highlight or try to get that win, and sometimes it is for the negative of the team. And that is, at least in my opinion. I think that Detroit's going to take today's game because I think Cade Cunningham is too fucking good. There's not much I can say otherwise. Like, he's too good. He didn't have a good fourth quarter in the last game, and he's not at all this insanely efficient player. I'm not here to prop up Cade to be something that he's not, because he definitely is not that. He has his flaws where he turns the ball over a lot. He has a lot of bonehead passing plays. But when he's on, man, he's one of my favorite players to watch. Like I said before, I've said it multiple times on our pod. If you haven't seen it, go see it. He will go on these routes where I'm just like, okay, this gives me a similar feeling to when Steph Curry's on. And that's why I say he's one of my favorite younger players, and he is my favorite young player. Because when I see him straight up make contested threes, drive to the paint, make step, like, it's such a simple brand of basketball, but then he randomly pulls out an athletic poster and he reminds you why he was such a highly touted prospect at a young age and why he's an amazing passer and he can play great defense. He uses that athleticism all the time to get blocks at the rim. It's an amazing thing to watch, and I'm happy that the city of Detroit is witnessing somebody at his level and caliber playing at such a high level. I hope that they win this series. I think they will. And I remember there was a lot of question marks coming into the playoffs, or not even the playoffs, coming into the series because of what happened in the Orlando series. I feel like Orlando was such a bad matchup for them, especially when you bring in the fact that they have such a great defensive structure. And outside of Cade Cunningham, early on in that series, nobody could really create anything. Tobias Harris deserves a lot of love for what he's been able to do, because Tobias Harris has taken what a lot of people think he's not going to get another contract to come back to Detroit because he's on his last year. he is certified that he's at least getting a 1-year offer or a 2-year offer to come back, because he has been Cade's second best player this entire playoffs. And like Jalen Duren, I expect more from you, bro. I really do. You've started to pick it up a little bit coming into this series. The Orlando series was fucking gross. I'm going to be honest. It was bad. But all in all, I hope the Pistons make it all the way. I do like this Pistons team more than I like any other team in the East. When it comes to having a competitive series against the Thunder, I'd say that them and the Knicks have the highest chance when it comes to that. Or the Spurs, I think the Knicks would have a better chance with the Spurs just because of the length that they have at the wings. They'd have a better chance at guarding Wemby. But let me know what y'all think. I just want to do a quick little playoff recap because it's been a while and a lot can change very quickly in the playoffs. I promise I'll be back a lot sooner. See y'all next time, and peace.